You're listening to the Win Moon Podcast,
sponsored by Alpha Dow.
Join us every week to listen to up-to-date news on the markets, macro, and the best degenerate stories you can't find anywhere else. Nothing on this show should be taken as financial advice. The opinions spoken here from the hosts and guests are our own personal opinions and should not be taken as financial advice. Now, let's get to the hosts, Clay and Taryn, and get this party started.
All right, welcome everybody to the Win Moon Podcast. We have Ice Bags, the real Ice Bags, coming in from Florida. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. What's the weather like down there right now?
Shit, it's like 34 degrees right now.
It is fucking freezing in Dallas. It's like 12 right now.
Yeah, we got like 2 or 3 days of it, and then it goes back up, so no big deal.
Texas is the same. I think in like 3 days we're going to be back up in like the mid 60s. So, but yeah, appreciate your time. Let's jump into it. So, I was talking with a couple of my groups on Telegram to let them know I was going to be, doing a podcast with you. Asked them if they had any questions for you, and a lot of guys are just like, we know you on Twitter. You have a big presence now, but like, who are you? Like, what's your background before crypto? Because it seems like you were a successful guy before crypto. Whenever you came on the scene, looks like you already had some wealth acquired and everything. So if you don't mind giving us a little brief background.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, kind of going back a ways, when I turned 20 years old, I moved to central Mexico. My family was in manufacturing at that point. And so I helped run a factory there for 5 years. So lived in Mexico, like from 20 to 25. That's kind of where I grew up, I guess, kind of became a man, learned another culture, learned a business, learned a second language, drove all over the country for 5 years. I mean, every part of it, explored. Had a blast, loved it. When I got back to the States, I was about 25 years old, I guess. Got into real estate sales at the time. My dad was doing some speculating. Of course, the real estate market was absolutely on fire back then. It was like, 2005, right? So it was kind of right when everything was peaking.
Right.
And then, the market obviously crashed in 2008. I had just started a business when I was 26, 27. So, a year or two before the real estate crash, and, grinded on that for years before it ever, had any, gave me any fruit, I guess to say. But I think in the first year I had it, I made like 30K. The second year was like 50K. And at the same time, I'm having my first kid. Right. And so,
Oh, wow.
So pretty, poor at that time. I'm 27, 28 years old. And then, finally, after, 3 years of 14-hour days, building that business, it finally started to pay off and, produce income, and still have that business today. I've got over 100 employees. I'm just not as active in it. I've got, people that run it now. It's pretty self-sufficient. But yeah, that was kind of like my first foray into business. It was into the property management side of things. Since then, I've tried all kinds of stuff, tech businesses. I've expanded, my original business into multiple states. I've been through it all. I've had partners steal from me. I've had, just about everything go wrong that can in the business world. I've kind of lived through it. I own, restaurants now with a bunch of partners. So I've got my hands into everything. But yeah, so that was my life before crypto. I got in 18. Probably, I guess it was that relief bounce from 6K to 10K.
Right.
I watched the FOMO from 17, and I stayed out of it, and then I saw that relief bounce from 6K to 10K. I bit really hard at 10K, and shoved a lot of my net worth, in at that time. Unfortunately, it then went to 3,000 pretty quickly.
Right.
And I was in all kinds of shit. I was in Bitcoin, ETH. I was in, all kinds of shit coins. So it wasn't good. Financially, it really, really set me back. But I loved the industry. I loved the community throughout it. So I just kept networking, kept grinding. Luckily, probably one of my bigger trades was Link through that bear market. I kind of took what I had left over and just shoved it all into Link at I don't know, 550 or so. And then of course it took off to its epic run of like $60 or whatever it was. So that was like my foray. So it was getting kicked in the teeth, living through, like starting and living through a bear market, kind of like we're going through now. Right. Before I ever saw any kind of like benefit at all.
So did you actually exit Link like in a good spot?
Yeah. I exited a bunch, like probably in the 20s, and then all the way up to probably about $40.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
So,
one of the things you mentioned, I tell a lot of my buddies, like, it's especially people trying to make it in crypto. It's really important to have something on the side where you're making money, because everyone's got peak euphoria during the bull run, and then when they don't exit in time, a lot of people are holding bags, and then a bear market could be couple months, it could be 2-3 years, we don't know. And like, if you don't have any other income coming in, that's when you're forced to sell the bottom, to like just fully capitulate, and I've seen so many people do it and they never return. So it's okay to be holding some bags, Bitcoin and ETH and things like that, in my opinion. But yeah, you need to have that extra stuff coming in, so you're not forced to sell the bottom, and you can keep buying, in things you really believe in. So yeah, that's important. So a couple of my buddies were curious. I am too, actually. Do you actively trade? Are you like a day trader, or are you just like kind of buying spot Bitcoin, ETH, for example, just accumulating, large positions and then just waiting till a bull run? Or how do you kind of do it?
Yeah, so I'm not a day trader. I've tried it over the last decade. I've tried it in stocks.
Really tough.
At it. Crypto, I tried it again in 18. Terrible at it. It's just not my thing. It's not my talent. I don't want to put the time in. I'm more of like a builder, right? I'm good at building things. I'm good at networking. I'm good at managing. I'm creative. I'm not good at staring at a chart for hours on end. And not only that, but I'd want to blow my brains out if I had to be honest. So just not my gig. I'll go into spot positions into the majors. And then I'll also, accumulate, shit coins, whether it's through, seed venture deals or just companies and teams that I know personally, that are building something. Then I'll accumulate a large position and hope it plays out. Now, does it always? No, but sometimes they do.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. One thing I tell, a lot of my buddies is, and this is important in life, not just crypto, but networking. So something you mentioned is, it's pretty much sounding like me. I tried trading. I even took some private lessons back during the last bull run. I just can't fucking do it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't have the patience for it either. But, one thing I've always been good at, and, I hope everyone gets into this, is just networking, just getting yourself out there, meeting people, meeting the right people, having good connections. And, that's led me to same type of stuff, venture deals, getting in the funds, things like that, or just getting some alpha, from some big traders, just people you make friends with. And, you don't necessarily have to be a good trader, if you have good friends in the space, and that's, I think that's true for any space in life.
So that transcends crypto, for sure. I harp on this constantly when I'm doing spaces or I'm talking to people. Like, if you're in your 20s and 30s, even now, I just turned 40. If you're not networking really hard, you're fucking doing it wrong. Right. Because it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that's where all the deals are done. That's where all the alpha is given. I learned at like an early age when I was like in my, early 20s, I always hung out with older guys. Those guys tended to be more successful. I surrounded myself with those people. I always had a good personality. I was funny. So they had no problem like me going and kicking it with them, drinking with them, whatever. So I was accepted into those groups. And I'm one of those types of people that's a little bit of a chameleon too. Like, I can fit in with a wide variety of different people. And that networking is absolutely critical, no matter what it may be. You just don't know that, the circumstance that may come up. And now you've got this Rolodex of phone numbers that you can make a call and make something happen, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a trade. It could be something simple, or it could be like life advice. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're struggling with your marriage, you're struggling with your business, you're struggling with, employee issues, like a million different things. And you've got a Rolodex of people that you can call that have been there and done that. And there's not enough that can be said about experience and going through these things.
Yeah, yeah, that's just great advice. We actually have a lot in common. I same type of stuff. I always, anywhere I go, any event I'm at, any hangout or whatever, I always want to be kind of like the dumbest person in the room, I guess. I always want to be learning from people, and my money situation hasn't changed in the past 2 years. The only difference is since I started networking, going to all these conferences and side events, is that instead of sitting in my house, I've been in poker games with exchange owners and fund managers and, all these hedge fund people, and, just learning so much. So I always tell my buddies, like, really try and put yourself out there and meet some people, try and get invited to things, and yeah, it's really paid off. So highly suggest that also. I want to move a little bit now, if you don't mind, to what you're kind of known for, I guess, the most outside of partying and DJing is the Kanpai Pandas.
Yep.
I actually own, I think 9. I own like 7 of the Genesis ones. I have these VIP party pass things in my wallet. So kind of want to get to like, where did the idea come from? Where did the concept come from? Are you like the 100% founder? Is there a team of people? And like, yeah, just kind of give us the quick background on how it started. And then we'll get into like the utility of the party stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So originally I was not the founder of the project. So originally it was called Yakuza Pandas. And, because I am connected throughout especially like the crypto Twitter, NFT Twitter community, I'm fairly connected. So the team had reached out to me and they're like, hey, can you help us with honoraries? Honoraries was like the meta at that time. You wanted him like in front of in the big hands of all the guys, the influencers, et cetera. Right. So that was, shown on the feed, and they had a lot of success. We did like 40 honoraries, had like the biggest names in CT and NFT Twitter. They had like 20,000 people on the whitelist, I think, to mint. This is back in April. And here's a funny story is I was actually so I had gotten a call from a casino that I go to every once in a while. And they were like, hey, ICE, we're sending a jet on this. I think this was Friday. We're sending a jet on Sunday morning to go walk Augusta for the final round of the Masters. And I believe Tiger was like up at, near the top. And I've never done the Masters before. And so I was like, I had a buddy in town. We were going to go out on the boat that weekend. And I looked at him. I'm like, yo, let's go to the fucking Masters. He's like, absolutely. So we fly over to the casino. It's like 6 o'clock or something. We're sitting there having cocktails. We're in the high limit room. We both got our laptops out. We're sitting at a table. And, the mint starts. And it's starting to go off. And then all of a sudden it like, you can't mint anymore. I'm trying to mint. I'm like, I'm having contract issues. And at the time I'd never done like mints before. I'd always just bought secondary and like blue chips and things like that. So right. I'd never spent any time in Discord. Right. And of course, if you spend time in Discord, like, what a shit show it can be. So yeah. I like pop over to the Discord, right, to see if everybody else is having these same issues. And it's just rug. And it was just the wildest shit. And I'm like, whoa, like these guys are maniacs. And so, of course, then the team is hitting me in the DMs and they're like, yo, like we're having issues. We don't know how long it's going to take to get fixed, on and on and on, completely freaking out, which I am too at this point. And they're like, what do we do? And so I said, look, you got a couple options. Either A, you can try to work your way through this, hope you can get the contract issues fixed, try to convince people it's not a rug, et cetera, et cetera. You can refund their money and just like take a step back, do it again later. At least like show some good faith. I was like, and I had too many drinks at this point. I'm like, I'll take over the project and we can work out a deal there. So I ended up working out a deal there. Like 1 a.m. in the morning, I call my pilot and I'm like, yo, like I need to get home. Like, I need to get home and start working on this. So I get home at like 3 a.m. I stay up all night. I hit Twitter and I'm like, yo, like I'm taking over this project. Can somebody help me here? Because I'm not a technical guy at all, right? Like I'm not a dev. I don't have that many. I do now, but at the time I didn't have very many connections to devs, et cetera. Right. So Primo from Layer Zero hit me within like 10 minutes in the DMs. And if you guys don't know who Primo is, just look him up. Like, complete OG, one of the best guys ever.
He's a boss.
Yeah, he is. So he hits me up. He's like, yo, like Ghostly Ghost had just launched Omni Chain like the week prior. And he's like, I've got an idea. Let's launch this thing, omni-chain. I'll help you build out the infrastructure, blah, 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 blah. Of course, I'm like, yeah, let's do it, So we ended up going omni-chain, minted out like the first 2,000, I think, on ETH, and then minted out the other 7 chains. So we've minted out 9,000 out of the 10,000 so far. But it's like it's probably the most successful, I guess, omni-chain project at this time. Hopefully there will be a lot more coming in the future because I think it's the way to go personally. But yeah, that's kind of like the backstory of how I got involved. And then a funny thing is like, it was the Yakuza Pandas, right? And so of course, I didn't really put much thought into the name until I called the Allegiant Stadium and I was negotiating the deal on a suite there. And they were like, all right, we've got one suite that came available and I need you to like, give me the okay right now. We're talking about a $500,000 deal here.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, done. He's like, all right, I need the business name. And I was like, Yakuza and I was like, hold up.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll get back to
mafia name.
Right. So you can't have a fucking gang related name and build a brand like we're trying to do. So like immediately we went back. I had already had a core team put in place at this time. In the first week, I had like 4 or 5 guys in there that were working on different aspects of the business. But we got together and we came up with Kanpai Pandas, which is cheers in Japanese. And so it represents kind of the party brand, lifestyle brand that we're building.
Yeah. Moving on to the party, the party atmosphere with the Pandas. I actually met you briefly. It was at the Panda party at the top of Mandalay Bay. So that was my first kind of experience. I met Eric, the lawyer there, your good buddy, your sparring partner. We'll get into that later.
Ex-buddy.
Yeah. Real cool dude, though. I actually met him down in the elevator. We rode up together. I was only there about half an hour. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. So a lot of people don't really understand that these things cost a lot of money, to have these parties, to throw these events and things like that. And then you do have a team that like you are paying people to work on this project. So can you give us like an idea, like what does it cost to, throw a party at a place like Mandalay at the top, with a great strip view, or like have these UFC suites and things like that? Because a couple of my buddies were curious, like, is this coming from like a treasury from like the mint? Or are you actually paying out of your own pocket just, because you just wanted to succeed. You really like the, the project and everything. Like, where is this kind of coming from?
So originally, all right, so you got to understand, like our project took 233 days to mint out, right? From April, from all the issues, from me taking it over, a shitty bear market, NFTs just not doing well. Everything was down 90%. Like it took a long time and it took a lot of hustle, a lot of grind. And so I was I was taking over this company in the midst of everybody thinking it was a rug, right? So then you've got to like rebuild this credibility around it as well. And so the first thing I did was I got the suite at Allegiant for 15 years. Excuse me. And I paid for that out of my own pocket. We paid for we threw a party. The first party that we threw was at FTX Bahamas. Back in like, I don't know, probably May timeframe. We rented out the top of the SLS there and flew Dr. Fresh in and played that. He played at the party there. So we did that. We've done UFC events. We've done, I think you went to the party at Skyfall at Delano, like around UFC 276 in Vegas. But here's what people don't understand. Yes, it's very, very expensive to throw parties, especially like Pandemonium that we threw in August. Like that was a festival, right? We had Tyga, Rich the Kid, Fresh, Dioro, Keyboard Monkey, like on and on and on. Then we rented out Dre's after hours and partied till 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, yeah, that shit is very, very expensive to throw. But, in the beginning, I paid for it all out of my own pocket just to prove a point. Like, look, I've put out, $500,000-$600,000 out of my own pocket to show A, that it's not a rug, and B, that I'm in it for the long-term success, right? Like a 15-year lease fucking proves something. And so that's how we started out. Now, what most people don't understand is that if you rent out a club or rent out a bar or rent out, whatever location, you can usually work out a deal to where alcohol sales, it's like a minimum, right? It's kind of like ordering a table at the nightclub, right? You got a $10,000 minimum and anything, you're paying 10 grand no matter what, right? So a lot of these parties I can throw if we're going to hit the minimum. You can rent out one of these places like Skyfall, you can rent out for 20 grand. Everybody pays for their own drinks. And then, if it's short, 15 grand was spent, we owe 5K, so it all of a sudden doesn't become that expensive. But most people that just haven't been in the industry and done it, like they don't get that, So, there's like Pandemonium is completely free for all Panda holders. And that's going to be going on in perpetuity because we're building it into a festival that's going to be global. Like we're going to do probably in the spring of next year. We'll probably do somewhere in Europe for Pandemonium.
Oh, wow.
So we're building a global brand there. That's going to be one revenue source because all pandas will be able to go for free. But then we'll also, open it up to the public. They just won't have the same kind of VIP access. But now you're selling tickets, you're selling drinks, you're doing all this stuff, and it becomes a revenue source, right?
Right.
And then the way we do like our suite tickets is we're essentially like buying in bulk and passing on the cost to or the savings to our Panda holders. Like example, UFC may cost me $15,000-$20,000 for a suite, right? You really can't get your hands on those tickets on the aftermarket. It's mostly people that just buy the whole suite and they don't sell those tickets. But if they did, it's going to cost you $2,500 for a ticket. Where we pay like $1,200 for a ticket, you just pay the flat $1,200. So it breaks it up and makes it more affordable for people to enjoy that. Plus they get the networking opportunities, et cetera, of being in a suite with, you never know who one of the Panda holders might be. It could be somebody very big that has connections to whatever you need.
Right. So what is kind of the future of the Pandas? Like how, I actually on Twitter, I see there's actually quite a lot of people now that are changing their profile pictures to the Panda. I see some people sweeping today. I actually saw an Infinity just sold for like 4.87 ETH or something like that. So that's actually a really good sale. So how do you keep something like this going? When you have this like long-term vision like you do, you see so many of these projects that, they get a bunch of hype, they mint out really quick and then people just immediately dump them, but there's not really that community. So how do you kind of keep that going, that to sustainability, I guess?
Yeah, you have to build community first. I think building like the groundwork of the community is absolutely critical. And one of the advantages that we had, even though I hated it, was it took 7 months to mint out. So the people that have been there for 7 months, like those are hardcore believers in what you're building, right? So it's not that, okay, we just had a mint and then there's a reveal and then that post-reveal dump that happens with every single hyped project. And then most of them just don't communicate. They're not really building anything, or they're building some bullshit metaverse, gameplay. You're not going to build that with your $3 million from your mint. I'm sorry, There's gaming studios with $500 million behind them that are trying to build this stuff. Like you're not going to win that race. So you've got to do something different. You got to do something unique. And so what we've done is we've done a good job of like continually building and continually communicating to the community, like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're working on. It's coming. And honestly, just being in front of the community, being available. Like when I got into this, I thought it was just going to be really easy. Like I've run all kinds of businesses before. I've managed, hundreds of people. Like I thought it was going to be easy. I put more work in the last, 8 months on this NFT project than I probably had combined in the last 2 years, to be honest. Wow. But I see this as a 9 to 10 figure brand down the road when you factor in licensing and IP rights and all the stuff that comes along with it. So to me, it's well worth it because this is like my make it and go away play is the Pandas, right? So I'm happy to put in that work, and we finally got momentum going behind us, which is really nice. It's good to see like a little bit of reward for like the community and for the team of we've minted out. Okay, now we've not only minted out, but we're picking up steam. Like more people are starting to understand what we're about. We've spent the last 4 months building an internal like point system and marketplace and games and all kinds of stuff so that we bring in, you essentially limit yourself when you just do a Web3 pass for in real life events. I mean, you can still be very successful with it, and we had before, but there's a much wider audience when you bring in like a true Web3 side of things. So we spent the last 4 months strictly building out this point system, the marketplace, building the whole infrastructure out for what's going to be our Web3 play that's going to launch in January. And that's going to open us up to a massive, massive market.
Yeah, that sounds crazy, actually. I didn't know that much goes on, behind the scenes. I always thought it was more just like, you make your project, people mint out, and a lot of people never do anything else except get their royalty fees from the secondary sales. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
That's pretty much the case on,
Right.
90% of projects, but they also don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like there's certain projects out there that are still building through the bear market. And those are the ones that are going to be successful as soon as the market turns. Like we're already seeing success in a shitty bear market condition. I'm excited for the community of what they're going to be able to reap, when the market starts to turn.
Right. Moving on just a tad, talking about the bear market. Are you a macro type of guy? How long do you kind of feel this could go on? Actually, you were in real estate, so do you think that it's going to get a lot worse, or do you think we're kind of bottoming out? Do you think real estate's going to crash a bit more, stuff like that? Or what's your kind of thoughts on the macro outlook right now?
I think it could get a lot worse. I mean, we're in a position where liquidity is being pulled. We're coming off probably the largest bubble that I've seen in my lifetime, because it wasn't just one asset class. It was every asset class from down to fucking used cars. Like it was an everything bubble, right? And now you're unwinding that everything bubble. It's going to depend, like how hard do they want to, continue to raise rates and suck liquidity out of the market? Nobody knows. Nobody knows the answer to that. Do I think we're going into like a major depression? No. But I'm not a pessimistic guy. In general, I don't think we're headed for a depression. Are we going to see a pretty decent recession? Probably. We're already 2 to 3 quarters into it, even though we want to pretend like we're not. We are. But I don't know how much longer it goes. To me, it feels like probably just a lot more just downward chop for probably an extended period of time. Then we're not going to bounce straight up to like 40K on BTC. Like it's not going to happen. There's not the demand there. There's not the liquidity there. There's not the macro environment there. But with that said, there's still a lot of money to be made. Like bear markets, they provide the best opportunities, right? Because you're buying the shit at the bottom. You're buying your stuff at 85% off. Right. So if you have a 5-year outlook, then you're in a good position. If you have a 10-year outlook, you're in a good position. And there's still like little niche areas that pop off, that you can make money on.
Yeah, for sure.
And pandas have pulled like a 5X in like 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've held every single one of mine. I've actually bought some for some friends, actually. So actually for Pandemonium, I had some buddies who had never really done crypto. They've never had an NFT. And I was like, hey, I know this project actually, and they're throwing this massive party. And I told them to download wallets and everything. And I actually bought some Genesis ones, got the party pass for them, sent it over to them. They went into the party. They had a blast. So to me, onboarding people like that, and they think it's cool too, by the way, like they're not crypto people. They're in regular jobs, they're not in our world, but they thought it was really cool. They're like, what the heck? Like, I just show them this and scan this thing and I get into a party, and I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty cool deal. Actually, I'm part of this community. I have a bunch of these. I had like, I think 5 or 6 of the VIP party passes. So I sent those over. I bought them each a Panda, so yeah, they had a good time.
And so that's one of the things that I'm really focused on is like that crowd, right? Because there's millions and millions and millions of that 20 to 40 degen, like people that just want to have a good time. You know what I mean? Right. And I don't want them to necessarily have to be crypto native to be able to enjoy the project. And we need to start like knocking down those barriers of making things more difficult than it needs to be. Right. So that's one of our main focuses. Like I brought on 2 stakeholders and advisors in the recent weeks. One is Steve Cohen. He's a partner at UTA, which is United Talent Agency. They're the largest in the world. He manages Kevin Hart, Jessica Alba, a ton of musicians. I brought him in. I brought in Steve Espinosa. Steve Espinosa ran tech and comms for Obama and Trump White Houses. He's been on the cover of Fast Inc., built and sold several tech companies. So like those are the people that I'm bringing into the project that are going to help us expand further out just into, Web 2, people to understand, to help us reach that crowd that we're just not very good in Web 3 right now at reaching.
Right. going back to having a good time, as you said, you're actually known for being a bit of a party animal. Can you kind of give us a glimpse of like, were you always kind of a party animal, sports bettor? Did this kind of come on like as you were accumulating wealth, or is it something you've always done? Like, I moved out to Vegas when I was 21, never made a sports bet. I'm going to be 40 in 6 months, still sports betting. You know how it goes. Like, once it's in your blood, it's kind of in your blood. So we see you out in the Bahamas partying, 50K sports bets. So kind of, can you give us a look into that world a little bit?
For sure. I mean, I've been doing it since I was probably 18 years old. The numbers just get bigger, you know, as you get more money. Nothing changes. Like, I'm still a degen at heart, but at the same time, I'm also a happily married guy with 3 kids, you know, that I'm raising. I've got an extremely normal, you know, everyday life. I spend 90% of my time at the house, you know, with the family. But I do, like, every month I got to get out and go, like, blow off some steam. It's just the way I'm built. Wife's totally fine with it. She's cool. She's, you know, she gets me, she knows me. And so it's like, it's just part of my life. Like, but everything needs to be done in moderation. You know what I mean? Like, sure. you can't do that. You'll run yourself into the ground if you try to live this Instagram lifestyle 24/7. You know what I mean? Right. Like, it don't work. And I've seen a lot of people do it. You crash, you burn, you blow all your money, whether it be sports betting, gambling, whatever it may be. Like, I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So the way I live my life is like, look, we got one time here on this planet. Make the most of it, you know, form really strong bonds with your family, with your friends, like teach them the right things. Hope that your kids, you know, grow up and be good human beings. But at the same time, like, go have some fucking fun, have some cocktails, smoke a little weed if you want to, experiment, try things. Like I said, we get one shot at this. Fucking enjoy it. Like, I can't stand. I was making some jokes on Twitter the other day about these guys, like, most productive people I know don't drink. And I'm like, yeah, the most boring people I know don't drink either. But at the same time, like, I don't give a shit if you drink or not. It's like, there's a level of, like, if you're living your life to be productive, like, it's fucking stupid. What a waste. What a waste.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've heard of this book, actually. It's called Die with Zero. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am listening to it now. I've actually known about Bill Perkins, the author, for a number of years now, but I've actually kind of taken on that lifestyle and that kind of feeling. You know, for a long time, I was always like really, really conservative and, oh, we got to save and we got to do this. And, you know, a lot of that's usually just upbringing. But, you know, when you really think about it, like, life is fucking short, and it feels like I just snapped my fingers and all of a sudden I'm about to be 40. And it's kind of like, you know, I've probably lived more than half my life. Obviously, the last part of your life, you know, you can't go skiing when you're 85 and things like that. So it's kind of just like, whatever the fuck I want to do, I'm going to fucking do it, you know? So if I want to go meet you guys in the Bahamas, I'm going to go do it. You know, if I want to go to the World Cup in Qatar, I'm fucking going, you know, and if it takes every dollar in my bank account, it's okay. I'll make more fucking money, you know, but I'm going to enjoy myself. You know, I'm going to try and take care of the people around me and things like that. But, you know, yeah, life is very, very short. And I think so many people get caught up in that trap of, like, you know, working your 9 to 5, coming home, taking one vacation a year, you know, or something like that. And I don't know. I think a lot of people have a lot of regret later on down the road that they didn't do this and they didn't do that, you know?
I mean, here's the thing. Like, obviously you have to work, you have to produce income to support that lifestyle, right? Sure. But like you said, like, even if I'm broke, if I want to take a trip and I'm going to spend my money to go do that trip, I can always come back and work and make more money again, right? And then I just stay at home for a while and cut back on expenses. Like, life is meant to be lived. I'm not sitting here trying to build some massive fucking nest egg so that I can have my kids not work. Like, I don't want to instill that type of, like, mentality into my kids. My kids are going to grind. They're going to do everything I did. Like, I wasn't handed everything on a silver platter, and I'm not going to do the same thing to my kids. Like, believe me, I'm going to spend a lot of my money before I go out. Now, will I leave them, you know, hopefully I, you know, have enough to leave them some kind of a windfall that's spread out over, you know, a certain age range. But, like, I'm not here to build a legacy so that my kids don't ever have to work. I think it's fucking stupid.
Right. Yeah, no,
I'm here to have a good time, man. I'm here to have a good time and provide a good time for those around me, you know, that can't afford it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what it's all about, is just really enjoying your life, taking care of the people around you, hopefully we stay healthy and things like that. But yeah, going on to some actual life advice. We obviously are in the crypto world together. We have a lot of buddies that are very successful, and we have a lot of buddies that are trying to make it in crypto. So, what's some life advice for kind of the guys that, they're trying to make it? Maybe they have 100K, 500K. They don't have that retirement money yet, but they do have some money. How would you best advise them to kind of manage this bear market? And then when we hit another cycle and we get another bull run, I'm sure there will be one more. How do they kind of manage that money, grow it? And then once they get there, we'll call it $2 or $3 million, potential retirement money, something like that. How do they grow it? How do they keep it without leveraging it off on some shit coins and going broke or something like that, which obviously we've seen happen time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, you hear those stories all the time. There's a lot more, failure stories than there are success stories, even though we just tend to look at the success stories. I think like the way social media is nowadays, like too many people get caught up in this fake bullshit. Like you see, I was talking to Farouk earlier today about like the have fun, staying poor meme. And it's literally a bunch of 22-year-olds on fucking Twitter saying have fun staying poor, to each other. And you're all literally poor. Yeah. Or like one of my favorites is like money's not even a real thing, It's just made up. And it's like, okay, well, you still got to pay your mortgage and eat, dickhead. Like, yeah. It's this mentality that I think social media has exacerbated, if not created, this Instagram lifestyle, this guy made it at 23 years old and I haven't made it by 23 years old, yada, yada, yada. I didn't make my first $1 million in a single year until I was 31 years old, right? 31 years old.
Yeah, and you've been grinding for a while.
Yeah, you got to grind, man. Like if you don't grind and work and hustle, like honestly, you won't even appreciate it when it comes. And then you're going to fucking lose it. I can guarantee it. Because if you don't appreciate what you have and you make it in a quick way, like you're going to spend it in a quick way. You're going to lose it in a quick way. And we've seen those stories, from the last bull market, people losing, $100 million that they made in crypto. Like that's absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yep.
Like if you're leverage trading and you have $100 million and you're risking all of it, you actually have a mental issue is what it is.
I know one guy who's done it twice.
You're just a fucking degenerate gambler at that point. Yeah. Like let's not try to like sugarcoat this thing. You have a fucking issue that you need help with, and you should have gotten it before you pissed off $100 million.
Yeah, I personally know someone through the 17 bull market and this last one. Ran up 9 figures both times and went basically totally busto.
Yeah. I mean, it's beyond comprehension. Mm-hmm. $100 million is an incredible amount of money. $1 million is an incredible amount of money. You can do a lot with $1 million. Right? Like you can have an incredible lifestyle with $1 million. So people need to like take a step back, like really kind of try to understand what money is and what it does for you and what purpose it serves. But you're not going to beat working harder. You're not going to beat like networking and making those connections so that, when the bull market does come back, you can take advantage through friends and acquaintances that you've met, throughout this time. Just don't look for the easy route, man. If you look for the fucking easy route, I don't care what it is, every part of your life. If you look for the easy route, it's not going to end up well. Like you have to put in the hours, you have to put in the sweat, you have to put in the blood if you're going to make it in life and have any kind of a meaningful life when you do make it.
Right. So personally for you, you were talking about the pandas as kind of your play, or you're hoping for it to be one of your plays to exit. Are you looking to kind of get out of crypto Twitter or something out of the next bull market, or do you really enjoy being in the space, meeting people, making the connections, or are you kind of, looking to ride off into the sunset and, never look back type of thing?
Nah, man, I got no interest in that. I'd be like Kobe, man. Kobe's made fucking who knows how much money and he's stuck. He's stuck here. and I'd be the same way. Like, I enjoy it, dude. It's hard to find like large groups of like-minded individuals that have like, the same interests that you do. And I find that with CT. Now, there's a lot of CT that's just, unhinged, but it is what it is. But I enjoy like fucking making memes and joking around and cutting up with everybody. Like if that's my lifestyle is hanging out with my family and then goofing around on crypto Twitter, like that's a pretty good lifestyle, in my opinion.
Yeah, you've actually fooled me one or two times with the changing your profile to the SBF stuff. So, because when there was so much drama going on, I just see the picture of them and it's like breaking news or something. And,
of course.
I kind of fall for it. I've even shared one of your things in one of my groups and someone's like, bro, this is a fucking troll here. So yeah, crypto Twitter is a good time. It is very easy to get very caught up and obsessed in it. My girlfriend actually gave me some shit before, like, you are on this fucking stuff way too much. So had to try and do some more quality time with her. So, but it's one of those things, like, this is part of our lifestyle, and
it is.
You can find real alpha from crypto Twitter.
Absolutely.
I remember leading up to the 2017 bull run, bored as fuck one night, laying in bed. There's some random account that I was following, and he was talking about Ryblocks, which ended up being Nano. And he was talking about, this is the fastest thing. It's the game changer, yada, yada, yada. I think I sent over, it was around like $500 to this site called Mercatox, some exchange called Mercatox. And anyways, I bought this XRB at the time. And during that 17 bull run, I had totally forgot about it because it was, a couple pennies or something per coin. And it ended up blowing up to like $20. And this random account, it's literally this random account, my $500 was like 150,000 in the span of like 2 months. And I actually got it all out, swapped it to BTC. So yeah, you never know what you'll find on crypto Twitter, but
no, you don't. And believe me, there's no like, I don't want to say easy, but there's no, I guess, faster way to make money than there is in crypto, right? Because the percentage gains are so just astronomically stupid.
Yeah, absurd.
If you catch the right stuff, I guess my advice is like, just stay alive so that you get to enjoy that next bull run, because there will be another bull run. It's not, if there's another bull run, it's, you just need to catch the next bull run. Like, if you think this fucking casino is going away anytime soon, you're crazy. There's way too much money. There's way too much leverage. There's way too many shenanigans going on behind the scene. Like, people are always going to take advantage of that.
For sure. I just want to kind of wrap it up. We really appreciate your time. You're actually one of the ones I made a list actually when I first started the podcast. I think you're the 6th episode, but I made a list of about 30 people, and I just looked at it, and you were, no offense, you weren't 1 or 2, but you were number 3 on my list. Like, had to have on.
That's pretty fucking high up.
Kobe, obviously number 1. I can't even get him to respond to me. So, that's a dream one. He's one of the true OGs, one of the realest dudes, like, never shilled anything, never caught up in any drama, but you were number 3 on the list. So I really appreciate your time. Hope to have you back on in the future. Hope everything goes well with you. Hope to party with you sometime soon. Hope to catch up with you. I think you mentioned Bahamas golfing or something sometime in the future. I'd love to make it out for that. So let's keep in touch. Let's keep the pandas rolling. And we'll post all the links for everyone to your Twitter, where to buy the pandas at, everything like that. So man, wish you the best and really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you too. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, take it easy.
Now, here's a word about our sponsor. Alpha DAO is an exclusive group of some of the top builders and founders in Web3 and all of crypto. The Alpha House is based in New York City, in the heart of Manhattan, and hosts weekly mixers where you can get exclusive access to the best networking in the space. Members also get exclusive access to deal flow, priority access to host events at the Alpha House, and so much more. Memberships are based on an interview process. So if you think you have what it takes, check out www.meetalpha.org and get in contact with us to schedule an interview.